Are you content or are you complacent? We talk often about being content, and very, very important to be content. I want to look at a couple of verses here in Philippians where Paul talks about that. And verse 13 is a verse that we use many times in life, and especially us as Christians. It says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Speaking about Jesus Christ is the context here. And so, of course, Christ gives us the strength to do everything. Without him, we can't do anything of eternal value. Now, I want to just start reading in verse 10, and I want to just pull out a couple of things here from the next couple of verses. In verse 10, it says, I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at the length of you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you did not have opportunity. And so Paul talks about how the Philippian church was providing for him and caring for him and sending people with providing his needs, and how much he appreciates that. And then in verse 11, he says, not that I am speaking of being in need. Like he was not begging, or he was not like, boy, you came through for me, I was almost dying kind of idea. No, he says, I'm not speaking from a point of need, but I'm very happy that God is using you. And then, of course, in verse 19, verse 20, he talks about for the glory of God, and God will provide for you. And then he says, for I have learned. And this is very, very important. He's not said, this is how I am. This is just the kind of person I am. Sometimes we do things and this is just how we are. Sometimes even we do dumb things and he said, this is just who I am. But Paul doesn't say this. He says, this I have learned. It's something that some versions use instructed. I've been instructed to, or I have learned. I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. And so what's the difference between being content and being complacent? The difference is simply this. Being content means you're happy with what you have. Being complacent means you're happy with what you've done. According to Bible teaching, we're always supposed to be content. Paul says, I'm no matter what. And he would go through tough times and being stoned and being cast in prison and being beaten. Like the list just goes on and on about things about Paul. And he says, in whatever situation, I have learned to be content. I'm happy with what I have. And so I am not complaining that because you should give me, or you should do more for me. I'm not complaining. I've learned to be content in whatever situation I'm in. And so, but he was never complacent. And so that's my message to you today. Be content, but don't be complacent. Complacent means you're happy with what you've done. I don't think we should ever be happy with what we've done. Every job we do, every day we pass, we should look back and say, I could do more here. I could do this better. I can learn from this, and I can give myself more. I can be more devoted. I shouldn't have wasted that. I think we should never be happy with what we've done. We are created and called to produce. Not to produce as we're missing what God has for us. And so we should always be content, never be complacent. And then Paul goes on in verse 12. He says, I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. And so, and then he says, I have learned. Again, he's using the word learn. I've learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And so again, I have learned. So he says, I have learned to do right when I don't have a thing, when I don't have anything. I have learned to do right in abundance when there's so much I don't know where it all is supposed to even go. He says, I've learned to do right in either situation. I always say, the person that will do right when he's lacking, and the person that will do right in abundance, you can send them anywhere and they will do right. In any situation, they will do right because they know how to handle success and they know how to handle poverty. But he doesn't say, I know how to do it. He says, I've learned. And that's a great lesson to learn. How to handle poverty, how to handle abundance. Many people don't have because they just don't know how to handle it. And so he says, I've learned how to handle abundance. I've learned how to handle need and lack. And so then he says, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do these things through Christ. He is the one that gives me the strength to do it. And so my message today simply is this. Are you content or are you just complacent? If we want to make a difference in the world, we want to lead people. We want people to know the truth. We want to proclaim the truth. We want to stand for right. We want to. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 10, he says, "I've labored more than they all, but it was not I, but it was His grace that was with me." We want to work hard, but not just simply work hard, but learn to be content. Never be complacent. God bless you.